It's my pleasure now to call to the Bima all of our board members so that we might officially install them in our new board leadership for this year. So if you come and join me up here. So we're going to put John at that end and Ruth at that end and all of you in the middle. I'm going to grab the right piece of paper because I have the wrong one. And we are going to, for the first time, actually pass this new Torah to the board. So, according to Jewish tradition, Torah has been handed down from generation to generation. We read in Pirkei Avot that Moses received the Torah from Sinai and passed it to Joshua. Joshua passed it to the elders passed it down to the prophets, and the prophets passed it on to the men of the Great Assembly. So we will pass this from our outgoing president. Here, I will help facilitate the passing. So we ask your blessings, God, upon those who have been elected to lead and to serve our congregation. And as they perform their duties, may you keep them ever mindful of the high purposes to which they and we are dedicated. Help them to be faithful heirs to those who have preceded us and worthy predecessors of those who will yet follow. May their actions reflect strength and wisdom and bear testimony to the great heritage which they represent. As our newly elected officers and trustees strive to achieve our synagogue's goals, may they help to keep us, too, faithful to our tasks. Grant these leaders strength and perseverance when they are weary, hope when they are discouraged, and patience when they face any obstacle. Bless them and those dear to them with health of body, vigor of mind, and strength of spirit. And may their labors reflect honor upon our congregation and our people. And let us say, Amen.
I accept the honor and responsibility conferred upon me. I pledge to serve our congregation to the best of my ability and to uphold its sacred values with dignity and integrity. I pledge my time and my energy to fulfill its needs and goals, and I will attempt to serve with vigor and to lead with humility. I will strive to act in a manner which will bring honor to us all.
And we all join in singing Shehachianu for bringing us to this beautiful day. Baruch atah this time, we call upon our new president, Ruth Oscar.
I have to confess that after only 2 years on the board, that I feel a bit of how did I get here so fast response to the fact that I'm stepping into the shoes of the board president, especially when you consider that I am following in the footsteps of many amazing individuals, several of whom are here with us tonight. It is an illustrious club made up of people who have been responsible for steering our community through a variety of challenges. Both of our two most recent past presidents can speak to the difficulty of dealing with COVID, Roz Allen, and October 7th, 2023, John Lewson. At the same time, they both shared in the joy of our Solel at 50 celebration and the completion of Solel's most successful fundraising campaign ever, which just goes to show that even in the darkest of tunnels, there is light. Here at Solel, we have an amazing group of members who care deeply about each other and our community as a whole. As a board, our role is to try to create an environment in which we can all not just survive, but thrive. We are blessed with an amazing staff: Rabbi Pollack, Arlene Botnick, Carol Van Tyne, and Neilon Ross. And we also have many, many volunteers who contribute to the well-being of our community. Those who assist with services, teach our Bet Sefer students, sit on one or more of our many committees, or work at bingo halls, each responsible for a different aspect of synagogue life. We are also a community of diversity. Some of our members were born Jewish. Some came to Judaism later in life. Some are Jewish adjacent partners. Each one adds something unique and special to our community. Over the past year, the board has focused on 6 key priorities, some of which address capital projects and fundraising, community outreach, and building membership. On Monday evening, we will be hosting a board meeting to be attended by both the outgoing and incoming board members. It will be a time to look at the successes of the past year and to identify where more work still needs to be done. A time to identify where we need to focus our energies for the next year. For me, key issues are leadership development and succession planning, along with growing our membership. Given the speed with which I moved up the ranks, I was fortunate to have the opportunity to attend a couple of programs this year that are put on by the URJ. One is the Scheit Seminar, funded by the Scheit family, which provides an opportunity for incoming and current presidents to come together over 3 days to attend many different workshops, along with praying, studying, and of course, eating together. It is an opportunity to meet with and create a network of peers, many of whom are also dealing with some of the same issues that we face. URJ also puts on an online boot camp once a year, which was attended in 2025 by the rabbi and John and myself, which also provides insight and useful information on many different topics. Under the heading of leadership development and succession planning, members of the nominating committee told me that when they went knocking on doors to discuss board membership with some people, they said no because they didn't feel that they had the necessary skills to contribute to the board in a meaningful way. We are looking at ways in which we can share the information gained during both the Scheit Seminar and the boot camp in order to strengthen our existing board and to grow our pool of potential board members, thereby establishing a clear path of succession which will last for several years to come. Membership growth is another area that is a key concern for me, and in that area I will have the assistance of both our new first VP, Dan Moskowitz, and our second VP, Zach Harper, each of whom has various skills in the area of communications and bringing people together. We are also looking to engage with our wider community, something that I believe has become even more critical since October 7, 2023. To that end, we are planning to reestablish our Bring Your Neighbor service, and we are working with the Peel Interfaith community and Pathway to see if we can find ways to assist other faith communities to grow the amount of affordable housing in Peel region through gentle intensification on their properties. We need to look after our own community, and we need to be a part of the wider community. And I look forward to working with the board and congregation on a variety of initiatives in order to promote these values. It is now my privilege to extend a heartfelt thank you on behalf of the board and congregation to our outgoing president, John Lewson, for his leadership over the past 3 years. As I mentioned earlier, he had the dubious honor of being our president through the difficult times created by October 7, 2023, but also the joyous times that were our Solel at 50 celebrations. He was part of the fundraising team that closed out our most successful fundraising campaign ever, and he is leaving the congregation in good shape as he passes the reins over and moves into the highly coveted past president role. John, thank you for the many, many hours you've given to Solel over the past 3 years, and thank you also to Brenda, who has let us benefit from his knowledge and skills during that time. We have all kinds of goodies hiding back here. And John and Brenda, indeed, a very special thank you. John, when he signed on, thought he was signing on for 2 years. He did that, as we call it, victory lap, and so for 3 years he has been at the helm. Some very special books that we understand will be of great interest to you. Thank you. And Serious Gardeners, a little bit of color to also add to your home. We appreciate you loaning him out to us. And,
But as much as John did, I have benefited so much from his 3 years. It's been terrific being around. We've had so many conversations that have really deepened, certainly my understanding of the importance of community in times as turbulent as those we've lived through. And above all, what this has also brought to me is so many more intense friendships, and I'm really grateful for it. So it was a good 3 years, huh?
It's my pleasure now to call upon Arlene Botnick, who is going to introduce our Bet Sefer Awards for this year.
I'd like to invite Charlie Dukolsky and Ephraim Kruger to join me on the pulpit, please. We have been fortunate over the past several years to have a couple of our families put in donations that were going to be invested in our young people. And each year we're able to take some of the interest from these 2 donations to honor some exceptional students. These donations were made by a former member, Carol Hamilton, in memory of her uncle, Meyer Koffler, and by a member, Abraham Moses, in memory of his father, Albert. These 2 scholarships, the Meyer Koffler Scholarship and the Albert Moses Scholarship, are given to young adults who stay on it at Bet Sefer Solel, who stay on in our synagogue, and show us that Vishinam Tam Levanecha, that we are ready to teach the next generation as our young people become our teachers. So each Sunday, Ephraim and Charlie are here helping the younger students. They're here at services. Some of them play drums on the bima, but they are our future, and I'm very honored on behalf of Solel and the Education Committee to present them with a small award from the 2 scholarships. Mazel tov, and thank you so much for helping us out at Bet Sefer Solel. Charlie, mazel tov.
To Charlie and to Ephraim, we are grateful for all of your participation and for all of the learning that you probably do while you're teaching the students at Bet Sefer as well, and we look forward to your continued involvement. And perhaps one day you will be standing up here as a board member. It's my pleasure now to call upon Roz Allen, who is going to be introducing who is our Honourable Mensch for this year.
Well, it's not an honorable mention. It's honorable mention. So, yes, in fact, we inscribed not 1 but 2 names onto our plaque this year. When I sat down with David and Rita Grossman to discuss their volunteer journey, Both were very pleased to be named as this year's honorees, but each was modest about their contributions to Solel, expressing that they only do a few things here and there, things with which they're comfortable. Well, small things add up to a lot. Multiply that by 2 people who have very different versions of their comfort zones, and that's a lot. I really enjoyed getting to know their stories, what brought them to Mississauga, to Solel, to volunteering, and to each other. David was born in South Woodford, London, England. He went to Cheder as a child, but did not excel as he wasn't interested in religion at that time. He was top of class in divinity at his all-boys boarding school, but Judaism wasn't his focus. And neither was it his focus when he went off to the University of Sheffield, a co-ed institution with girls. Dave received a degree in electrical and electronic engineering and went on to get his master's in control systems. His early life in volunteering started at university on the RAG committee, which raises money for charity by selling a joke magazine. In 1973, David came to Canada to visit a university friend in Toronto. He ended up working as a handyman for a social service agency, Family Services of Metropolitan Toronto. They recommended him for a job at CAE, an engineering firm in Mississauga. He got the job and returned to England to formally immigrate to Canada, and 4 months later, he was back in the GTA. Dave moved to Mariah Street near Congregation Knesset Israel, the Junction Shul, and he started attending their irregular services for special functions and yard sites. Through some friends, David met his wife Cheryl, who at the time was new to Judaism. The neighborhood shul not being open regularly, she agreed to attend with David at her very first service, Yom Kippur at Solel, the Glen Erin Inn location. Despite believing synagogue services were an all-day thing, Cheryl chose Judaism and David, and theirs was the second marriage performed by Rabbi Englander as religious leader of Solel Congregation of Mississauga. This was a busy time for David as his family built to 2 daughters and a stepson. After 4 years at CAE, he moved to Atomic Energy of Canada, also in Mississauga, and in 1981, the family moved from Toronto closer to work and Solel to the house on Buckle Post that David still lives in today. With a young family, David became more involved in synagogue life. The Grossmans formed the first Havurah with other families from Solel in the 1980s, the Lucky China Havurah, which regularly met at a Chinese restaurant. Eventually, this morphed to become the Potluck Meadowvale Havurah, which still meets today. So when did David's volunteer journey at Solel begin? Well, he was on the board for a year in the Glen Erin era, but he learned he's not a political person. He taught at Bet Sefer for a year, setting an example for his daughters, Naomi and Sharon, who were bat mitzvah at Solel. David wasn't such an enthusiastic student at Cheder in his youth, and neither was he such a keen Jewish school teacher as an adult. But David did not give up looking for a place for his efforts at Solel. David found his niche on the religious committee. He started organizing Shiva minions, serving as Gabbai, chanting Torah a little bit, organizing and sometimes training Gabbai and Chagba for B'nai Mitzvot services. And he has served as lay leader for Friday night services when called upon. When Brotherhood was active, Dave was a part of the group. He still makes latkes for Hanukkah. He still ushers during the high holidays. But what about Rita, you may ask? Dave does so much. Only a few things to him. How does she fall into the mention? Rita Halpern was born in the Côte Saint-Luc area of Montreal. She grew up with one brother, self-described as conservative high holiday Jews. Once she was off to McGill on her own, Judaism didn't play such a big role in Rita's life. Rita earned a Bachelor of Commerce and worked at Eaton's in Montreal as a manager trainee during the Olympics, and then on to advertising. Rita followed her heart and transferred to Toronto in 1986. Rita was busy with her life in Toronto and was one of the founders of the B'nai B'rith chapter in the city. In 1997, she decided to move out to Mississauga and bought a townhouse on Faulkner. Rita served as a big sister for several years. She was a dog owner and liked photography and knitted a bit. In 2004, Rita's mother moved from Montreal to Mississauga to be with Rita. As fate would have it, one day Rita was running an errand and saw a sign for an open house, a house that was more appropriate for an aging parent, a house that was on Buckle Post, next door to David and Cheryl. The families got to know each other a bit, including their shared Jewish background. In 2005, when they were chatting across their driveways, David asked Rita to join them at Solel's Invite Your Neighbor service, and Rita jumped into the Solel community feet first. At the end of that service, Sandy Levy was promoting a Beat the Blues dance, but Rita didn't dance. Instead, she volunteered to take photos. She joined the synagogue that very year. Coincidentally, Les Rothschild recognized Rita from her time working in personnel meetings in Montreal. Les was on the Solel Finance Committee, and Rita offered to help. So she joined the Finance Committee. Rita was on the board for many years. Thank heavens, I inherited her as executive secretary from Robin Botnick, and she was my savior during my COVID presidency. She remained on the board until 2023. And then there's Sisterhood, now Women of Solel. I met Rita when she was president of Sisterhood. In fact, part of Rita's time on the board was as Sisterhood rep. Rita is still extremely active with Women of Solel, serving as treasurer and participating in the good works being done by that committee. When Rita retired from the Solel board of directors, she said she was now only going to do a few things at Solel, within her comfort zone. Just sticking around House Committee and the Solel at 50 and fundraising committees and Safety and Security Committee, writing grants and supervising contracts and hiring summer students and maintaining records for the Living Torah project, to which Rita and Dave are substantial donors. So that brings us back to Dave and Rita, who are being saluted together tonight as Solel's Honourable Mention. Sadly, in 2006, Rita's mother died, and in 2010, David was widowed and went into seclusion for a year. Just as David had reached across the driveway to Rita, inviting her to join Solel's community, Rita reached out and invited Dave to come and walk the dog with her. And the rest, as they say, is history. Theirs was the last marriage performed by Rabbi Englander as religious leader of Solel Congregation of Mississauga. Now retired, they still volunteer a bit. David's still active in his comfort zone as religious committee and rituals, and Rita still active in Women of Solel and all that entails, along with supporting every committee on infrastructure projects. David attends many of the programs and discussions at Solel. Better late than never on that Hader education day. And you'll always find David and Rita at Solel holiday celebrations. Outside of Solel, they work with blooming boulevards, building habitats for bees and butterflies, and belong to the Horticultural Society. Though they no longer have their own pets, they do lots of short-term dog sitting, and Rita walks guide dogs in training for the Lions Foundation, to which David is an innocent bystander. And Rita's love, maybe compulsion, for knitting has benefited many. And of course, they spend time with family, with grandsons Jacob and Wesley, and they travel to England to visit David's nonagenarian mother. They love to travel, enjoy meeting with friends, attending the symphony and plays, cycling and walking and exploring. I think we can learn a couple of things from David and Rita Grossman and their volunteer journey at Solel. First of all, just invite someone along. Greet them, welcome them to the Solel community. Your ask may reward you in a big way. Joel Brown, who sees all from his tech perch in the corner of the sanctuary, pointed out that David notices and greets newcomers to services and engages them at the oneg afterwards. Welcoming the stranger is a big part of Judaism and of Solel, and you never know what a welcoming gesture can do. Maybe a handshake, an invitation, will find someone who gives their talents to Solel like Rita. Be open to invitation. Say yes to things that you might be familiar with. Put yourself out there and find your thing. So you don't dance or teach, but maybe you have a head for numbers or a heart for the rituals of Judaism. There's no failure in trying and deciding it's not for you. Solel's got a lot of ways you can help. Ultimately, we have all benefited from Rita's and Dave's love of Judaism, Solel congregation, their friends, their family, and each other. Though they have different interests, they have complementary strengths. They are the embodiment of generosity in so many different ways, just within Solel, not to mention their contributions to the world beyond our congregation. They make our community better as individuals, and together are the head and the heart and soul of what make our synagogue great. On behalf of the Board of Directors of Solel Congregation of Mississauga, I'm happy to present a small token, and I'll grab it in a second, of our appreciation to this year's Honorable Mention, Rita and David Grossman. This is to add to the greenery in your photo. And it's safe for all pets. So your dog's sitting just as you. Okay. And then this is for this one. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
I just have a few words, much shorter than usual. Actually, that sounded a hell of a lot more impressive than anything I remember. Anyway, dear Chovering, Shabbat Shalom. I'm deeply moved that you think me worthy of this honor, and I thank you very much. Quite frankly, I feel a bit of a fraud. Although I was very involved in the functioning of Solel in the old days, before some of you were even born, these days I limit myself to attending services, being shamas, gabbai, and usher on an ad hoc basis, and arranging Shiva service leaders. I'm also very active at onyx, lunches and dinners, making sure that nothing goes to waste. My main claim to fame is that I am Rita's husband, and that she is the real Honourable Mensch. Although I feel somewhat unworthy of this honour, there's no way you're getting it back. I accept it with all humility and thank you all very much.
So I would also like to thank you all very much for this honor, and thank you, Roz, for your kind words. A bit of a overstatement, but that's okay. But first of all, I would like to set the record straight, because Dave, you shouldn't feel as a bit of a fraud, because you are totally and completely worthy of this honor for all the wonderful things that you've done at Solel for the last, really, 50 years? It's a big number. It's a scary number. And we're also particularly thankful for your active participation at many of Solel's events, especially at the buffet and dessert tables. Wink, wink. But the best thing you did was invite me to the Invite Your Neighbor service 20 years ago now, I guess. And I'm sure as your next door neighbor at that time, you probably would have introduced me to Solel anyways, but that was the beginning. And if you hadn't told me that night, you would have some other night. So I came, I joined, and I participated, and I continue to participate. Apparently doing nothing is not my style. Or is it that when asked, I'm unable to say, no, sorry, I can't help you with that right now. So something like that, probably a bit of a combo. And so here we are 20 years later, although I'm not sure how that all happened. But since I retired a few years ago, I've been helping out a bit more actively at Solel, and it became a post-retirement gig, I suppose. I enjoy doing what I can to help things get done, to move them forward. And if I don't enjoy it, well, it appeals to my negative Nelly side. But it's been a real blast, and I've been working with wonderful, wonderful people, and thank you all very much. Thank you.
And this has your name engraved, so it will go on the wall.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.